Hi everyone, welcome to the SoccerBeat podcast. We're talking Kaizer Chiefs today, and it's been now 12 days since the departure of Coach Nabi. Kaizer Chiefs' last word on this officially was 10 days ago. So now we're going to discuss a news report breaking that Nabi's actually tried to rescind his offer to step away and come back to the club. But before we do that, guys, please hit the subscribe and the like button. That will increase the visibility of the podcast. And let us know in the comments any topics you'd like us to cover. Okay, so I've got Coach Farouk and Tsepo Masilela with me. So let's start with that first news item that's breaking in the Sowetan, that basically Nabi is trying to rescind that offer and try to come back to Chiefs. He only has a few months left on his contract. It actually ends in June. I mean, Tsepo, let's start with you. I mean, quite a strange turn of events. He kind of left Chiefs, but then the club hasn't really talked about it, just let it simmer in the background. I mean, why is that? Do you think it's just a contractual thing? Neither party really wants to be the one that breaks the agreement. So they're trying to maybe come to something where it's kind of mutual and they can split out the sort of termination costs. It's a bit of a strange situation for a club to get rid of their coach and then only have one small statement 10 days ago, and we haven't heard anything since. What do you make of all this?
It's very strange indeed. And my feeling is there's still a lot that has to be, discussed or agreed upon in the background. Because when the story first broke, they mentioned about the coaching license. You can't sit on the bench. And then it changed to, they've checked, they've verified, he's got all the papers to coach the team in the competition. So it's very strange. But I've just have a feeling that, it's they can't reach a common ground where, sometimes when a coach leaves, you have to settle, and it depends also on if the coach wants out or the team wants to get rid of the coach. So I think they're still discussing those. I don't see him coming back, man. I think the big word here is trust, So how do they trust? And again, also for us sitting at home, we don't really know like the full background of the story. Who started what? Is it coming from the team or the coach wanted to leave, or but the big word would be trust. He comes back, he does bad in 2 games. They say your heart is not here anyways. You just winding down your contract to get the salary. So once the trust is broken, it's tough to fix that trust.
Yeah, I think I'm sure I can say for you, Coach, that surely Nabi's not coming back. It's a terrible idea. But one thing about Chiefs, if they do get a new coach, they're going to have settled with their old coach before. They're going to have all those agreements, sorted out and that termination done. I spoke to Tsepo before, and he was quite keen on Pitso Mosimane. Coach, he's been linked again in the last few days. The name of Benny McCarthy keeps getting mentioned as well, because I think at some point we know he's going to coach one of those big three teams in the country. What would you make of Pitso Mosimane? Is this the time for him to come to Chiefs? I'm keen to hear, because fixtures are coming thick and fast, and if Chiefs keep dropping points, they'll fall again even further out of any potential title race. And there's big CAF games coming as well. So what would you make of a move for Coach Jingles?
Grant, before I answer the question on Pitso, let me just give you a bit of my insight on the Nabi issue. I think the horse is bolted. There's no way Nabi's coming back. Chiefs don't want Nabi. Nabi wanted to leave without being suspended. Now his agent has spoken to him and said, listen, you're going to lose out financially. This is what happens in football. You have a contract. Your agent is going to advise you to milk that contract. If I want to leave a club as a coach, I speak to my agent. He says, no, Farouk, you don't leave now. Let them pay you out. Because if he leaves, they can offer him a 3-month, which is normally the case with clubs. They pay you out for 3 months, and he's still got until next year, June. So why should he not opt for a 6-month deal? So it's about them sitting down and dealing, and eventually Chiefs saying, listen, for sanity to prevail, for us to start, starting on a new clean sheet, we're going to be prepared to pay you that extra 3 months so you can go in peace. So it's given. People out there must understand Nabi is never going to be a Kaizer Chiefs coach again. That decision has been made on the day that he was suspended. The decision was made. Coming back to Pitso Mosimane, high-profile coach. Coach has been there, done that, won the Champions League, not once, but on more than one occasion. Comes with huge pedigree, but he also comes with big expectations. Can Chiefs afford to have a coaching. I'm not talking about Pitso Mosimane's salary. Can they buy him the players that he needs? Because Pitso doesn't want to finish second best. He has a score to settle with Sundowns. If you can recall the issues he had with Sundowns and the legalities around what he had to pay back, deep down, he's a human being. He wants to put one over them as well. So besides being a professional, he wants to prove to South Africa that he is the best coach that South Africa has produced in, I would say, in the last decade or so. So this is the question. Can Chiefs afford to bring in a Pitso Mosimane? They signed many players. I think they made some misses as well. You know, we can talk about Shislet, we can talk about some of the other players. They still have the likes of other players which Nabi didn't have confidence in, the likes of Solomon's, the likes of some of the other players that he felt he didn't have a hand in signing. So how do you undo all of that, bringing in a coach like Pitso Mosimane? Because Pitso will want to start.
Coach, so let me push you on that. Coach. So would you take Pitso? And are you saying that Chiefs maybe contract him because they don't want to give up the control of the transfers and even of the purse strings to maybe give him the funds he needs to actually bring in those players? So do you think it's from both sides? But would you take him as a coach if you were Chiefs and maybe just compromise in the background?
Well, I don't think Chiefs wouldn't trust him. It's just that the reality is, can they afford to get him what he wants, firstly? And Pitso is a coach that is very firm on what he wants to do. So if he wants a player, you don't sign players for Pitso Mosimane. That is a bit of a different thing. He's going to say, this is what I want. You could come with a suggestion, but if he's not in agreement, he's not going to accept it. I would sign Pitso Mosimane at this stage because I want to be able to compete with the likes of Sundowns and Pirates currently. Their house is in order. I need to get my house in order. I need a high-profile coach. And I'm not going to do it with these two guys that are there currently because we don't know what to expect from them moving forward. From one moment, they can win a game. In the next moment, let's say, for example, and I think Tsepo, you can give more insight on this. If this current duo go on a good streak for the next 4 or 5 games, and suddenly there's a jump halfway through the season, what do you do then? Because now it's impossible to go backwards. It's better now to make a decision while it's early than to go 15 games into the season, and that's my only concern. That they could, for some reason, have a good run like they had when they started the season, and then everything goes egg-shaped. Now you want to bring Pitso in. It's a little bit late. He's going to have to tell you, listen, for this season, we will see what happens, but I'm going to start my real preparation moving forward next year.
That's it. Well, let me just pick up on Coach's point there. It makes a very good point with caretaker coaches. Chiefs have had a lot of them in recent years. We've seen, quite a few times Arthur Zwane took over as caretaker. Even Molefe Nteki a little bit was, he was a very last sort of, he came in as a technical director. They couldn't get Nabi. They got Molefe Nteki. We saw Kevin Johnson come in. And it's a similar thing actually to what Coach says. He started okay, but then the results start to go downhill. You don't want to have a third coach in one season. It's not a very good look for a big club. So do you think that's, if they're going to have a new coach or if they're going to keep these two coaches, they need to make a decision one way or another? The problem as well is, of course, if you keep these two and your results go downhill, you almost feel like you're writing off the season, which sort of happened a bit with Kevin Johnson. They were just kind of counting the days until the season ended and get their full-time coach in. Do you agree with Coach on that basically they need to get a new coach ASAP with the FIFA break coming up, or should they just commit to these two coaches for the season and see if they can sort of still have the good season they're hoping for?
First I would start by saying they need to let their fans, the Kaizer Chiefs fans, know what's happening at Kaizer Chiefs currently. We can't keep fans guessing. Are they caretaker coach? Are they here for the rest of the season? Are we getting someone new? Is Nabi suspended? Firstly, I think they should start by, letting the fans know what's going on in terms of that coaching position. If Nabi is gone, he's gone out of the picture. So everyone can focus on the current campaign. And I would agree with the coach, once they let it drag for too long, and then it's gonna be a disaster at the end, so there's no accountability at the end. And the sooner you bring a new coach, you can always hide behind the I'm building for this season, but you can't say you're building when you left with 4 or 5 games or 10 games. The sooner they make a decision, the better for everyone, also for the players going forward. For the next transfer window, there's still going to be a transfer window around January, if I'm not mistaken. It's better for everyone involved. Also the fans, they're at peace that, okay, we've just had a new coach. Maybe the coach needs time, like Coach Nabi. So, but my plea is, that they communicate and release a statement, on the whole situation.
Yeah, I think you have to hope the Chiefs will give some clarity to the supporters. Because even we are speculating on the news item, and we need some certainty. Let's just look at the next two games. There's a FIFA break coming up. There's two games this week. They're playing AmaZulu at home, and obviously it's on the back of a CAF game, so it's quite a busy schedule. But as Coach always tells us, it's early in the season, fatigue shouldn't be a problem. And then after that, they play Stellenbosch away in the Carling Knockout Cup. Now that's a chance to win a trophy. Of course, the decade trophy wait was ended. Now they want to start challenging for more and more trophies. Let's start with the AmaZulu game. It's against a former Chiefs coach. They're playing quite well. Coach, would you say that's a win or a draw? Do you think Chiefs can get back to winning ways there? And then on the Stellies game, they almost always beat Stellies. Do you see them going through? I mean, and then they've got the FIFA break, and they can things can just maybe settle down a bit, and we can get more clarity. What would you say? AmaZulu win or draw, and Stellenbosch, are they going to go through?
Well, firstly, I must say, I think Arthur has done a fantastic job at AmaZulu of late. He's brought in some quality players to blend in with the youth. You can say there's a playing philosophy that he's trying to achieve. There's a bit of continuity that he's trying to achieve. So I must say that it's not going to be a walk in the park. Arthur knows Chiefs very well. He knows Chiefs as far as being a player, as far as being a coach. And for him, it's a huge opportunity to prove his worth. It was ultimately, he was at Chiefs. Things didn't work out, but a coach always wants to prove to his former employer that he was good enough. It's just normal. We can't hide it. We can't sugarcoat it. So I think it's going to be not an easy game, although it is at home. It's still not an easy game. Arthur is going to come with a plan. We've seen Kaizer Chiefs over the last two games. They weren't convincing. Even though they've won. And then I've heard the coaches speak about performance. But if you have to, give them an evaluation on performance was good. They won the game, but they struggled against Cabo Scope over the weekend and previously. And then they struggled, in their last match against Marumo as well. So based on that, I think, he's won 2, that is Arthur. He's drawn 2 in the last 6, and he's lost 2. But if you look at before the loss, he had a win and 2 draws, which shows there is some sort of consistency. So Chiefs must not underestimate him. I think I'm not going to go on record and say Chiefs will win it convincingly. They could, because at home we know they've had a good run, but it's not as cut and dry as that. They're going to have to work to beat AmaZulu.
And Stellies, you see them going through?
Stellies has been a voodoo team forever. Even when Stellies play well, they don't have the better of Kaizer Chiefs. I think you in football, you normally find that team that you just struggle against. And I think this is the case with Stellies. It would be a surprise to me to see that Stellies put one over them. They're also going through a terrible season thus far. So I think Chiefs would win that one. I think definitely Chiefs would win that one.
Okay, and Tsepo, you got AmaZulu midweek. Those are 2 of your former clubs. Do you think Chiefs are going to get the 3 points there? Coaches maybe leaning towards a narrow win, but a possible slip up again. Do you see a draw? Do you see them getting the win? And then Stellies, do you think that hoodoo's going to continue? I mean, Chiefs keep beating Stellenbosch. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let me start with AmaZulu. I see a draw, reason behind. I'm seeing a Kaizer Chiefs especially the attacking players. They currently, they're struggling for form, and they don't look that sharp. They don't look like scoring at any time. Even they do create half chances here and there, but you need your attack to win your games. And their attack, it's in 6s and 7s. You're not sure what you're gonna get from that attack. Today it's Sereno. He's playing bad. Tomorrow it's Ndu. He comes on as a sub. Tomorrow it's Modi. They chopping and changing. I don't think they also show, their best attacking players right now on form. They have no one on form in their attack. Maya can chip in and score here and there, Silva, but I'm talking about there's no consistency in their attack. So I see a draw. And Stellies, I think Chiefs will go through extra time.
I think I'm on the same page. I think I'd be surprised if Chiefs bounce back and beat AmaZulu in midweek, considering how good Lesotho are looking. And I think the Stellies game, for whatever reason, Chiefs tend to win those fixtures, but maybe it's going to need extra time in that one. Stellies' confidence is a bit low at the moment. So I think, yeah, we're all kind of on the same page. It's real banana skin in midweek. Guys, join us on Wednesday as we review that match. Thanks for joining me, guys. Let's chat soon.